for
We've
sure.
been at it 24 years. We've done, I don't know, 25 billion worth of transactions. We've done 700 deals or so in our space. And what we found, it is better to go deep than wide. So we have three main verticals, which is managed IT and managed services, cloud, and digital infrastructure services. And we don't do anything else outside those three things. Now, they'll have software and services in each of those, but we found that for a boutique, and I think it's whether you're a boutique bank, a boutique consulting firm, a boutique IT firm, vertical focus is really key. Because if you can solve the problems in a vertical, like I'm a technology company and I focus on healthcare, or I focus on services, or I focus on insurance companies.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. Your host here, Alessandro Cutri, joined today by none other than Michael Quinn, one of the founding partners over at Q Advisors. Today's going to be an interesting episode, guys. We're going to be diving into a little bit about his background, his story, what they're currently seeing inside of the market over at Q Advisors, and some interesting insights. So definitely make sure to stick around. But without further ado, I'll kind of just pass it on over to you, Michael, if you don't mind just introducing yourself to the audience, telling them a little bit about your background and how that led into you being one of the founding partners over at Q Advisors.
Sure, thanks, Alessandro. Hi guys, I'm Michael Quinn. I'm actually the Q in Q Advisors, and I started my career as a New York City Wall Street M&A and finance lawyer, migrated to being an entrepreneur. A bunch of friends and I started a company in Brazil and Argentina called Vesper and Velicom. We raised about $2 billion. It's now
Mm.
owned by Carlos Slim and America Movil. And about 24 years ago, my clients who were law clients and former investors in my company said, start a bank. So we started a boutique investment bank really focused on telecom and technology more in the cloud and comm space.
Mm.
We've got offices in Denver, our headquarters. We've got our Munich headquarters in Europe, and I split my time between Spain and Denver, so I'm the lucky one of the bunch. I get to be on both sides of the pond.
You get the best of both worlds
I
there.
do. I do, especially
Yeah.
when it's 10 degrees in Denver and 70 here today in Spain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, so okay, it's cool. I'm curious. I want to unpack that just a little bit, right? So, what was it that, like, I guess, made you make that? Obviously coming from the, being a lawyer, then obviously going to starting a company, right, and being an entrepreneur. What was it that, I guess, brought you to, wanting to build your own company? Did you know you always wanted to do something like this, or
Yeah,
what
I've
was?
always tended to be entrepreneurial. My dad was a private equity guy,
Mhm.
and I always really liked energy and communications. And
Yeah.
in the early 2000s, the world of communications was really changing. Mobile data speeds were going crazy. Governments, like in South America, like in Brazil, who had been privatizing, also wanted competition, so they were offering mobile licenses, and our group won two of them. Then we bought a data company in Argentina. And what I like about it is it's an area that is constantly evolving, constantly changing. So it used to
Yeah.
be we were a telecom and tech boutique, right? That's how we pitched ourselves, and we're very
Hmm.
narrowly focused. And but it got to the point where nobody knew where telecom started and tech ended, and vice versa. So everybody was doing everything, and now every telecom company is in the cloud, right? They're using cloud software, they're using AI, they're using really tech-enabled services to provide better customer experience for their clients. And that's really what all of this is about right now, both on the comm side and on the tech side, is what kind of customer experience can you provide to your clients to help them do their work,
Hmm.
and or to help them improve their relationship with their own customers, right? That's what it's all about. CX in my world is the name of the game right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say that's one of the biggest, trends that maybe you're noticing right now within the space, or what else are you kind of maybe just seeing just from being inside the space for a while now?
Well, I think a few things. I think you can't make general statements, right? Because every country in Europe is different
Exactly. Yeah,
than
yeah, yeah.
right? Different trends, different sales approaches, and then In the States, it's a bit different. We tend to be a little more advanced than the Europeans when it comes to a lot of the cloud stuff. And
Mm,
so what we're seeing now is a real emphasis on buying more solutions from fewer vendors, right?
mm,
So that's one big trend we're noticing. So everybody wants that one throat to choke, right? A vendor who's going to be able to give me the full package, whether it's cloud voice, whether it's security solutions to protect my network, whether it's
hmm
customer experience. So you're seeing that, and that's a big trend. And when we look at KPIs of companies that we want to present, one of the more
hmm
important ones, Alessandro, is how many services is this potential client of ours selling to their customer base, right? The more solutions
Interesting.
that they sell, that means they're sticky. The customers aren't going to churn off because it's
Higher
too
LTV.
much of a hassle, higher LTV.
Yeah.
And I think most important is that trusted advisor role that the company plays. So that's one big trend we're seeing.
Yeah.
The second big trend is this differentiation between software providers and services providers. It used to be 3 years ago, there were proponents, and I would call myself one, hey, you need to own your own technology stack.
hmm
And you don't want in the cloud, you don't want to be reliant on Cisco or then BroadSoft. You don't want to be relying on Microsoft for their Teams or Zoom for its stuff. Have your own stuff. Now there's these two different swim lanes. There was the software folks, and then there's the services folks. And the
Mm,
service folks want to be Switzerland. They want to be able to offer a menu of different types of software in different verticals to their end users, whether the end user is another carrier, right?
hmm
A smaller regional telco, a cable company, or whatever. Um, and they want to be Switzerland. They want to be neutral. They want to say, hey, if you want Cisco BroadSoft, I'll sell you that. If you want Microsoft Teams or Zooms, here's the offering we have. And uh, it's much more customized to perhaps the size of the company, what vertical the company is in. Certain technologies work better for healthcare, work better for financial services, work better for other technology companies. So you're seeing a
hmm
lot of that. And I guess the third trend is you're seeing this cross-pollination between managed IT companies and managed services providers. So it used to be I get my Office 365 from company A, and I get
hmm
my voice and data from company B. Now, often I just get it all from one company,
Yeah.
and I'm happy with that because they can't point fingers at each other, right? They can't blame each other. Somebody's got that target on their back for making sure that it all works.
Yeah, yeah, and you bring up a lot of good points, and as we're kind of talking through this, I'm curious as to like what was it that brought Q Advisors to hone in on this telecom and tech space? What was it, I guess, so long ago that you kind of realized like, hey, we want to set up shop here, and this is where we kind of
Yeah,
want
so
to
we so we
intervene.
started in '01, and we did a lot of debt restructuring, worked on a lot of wireless deals, a lot of fiber deals. And one day, I remember it as clear as can be. 2007, one of our clients said, "Hey, we're making an investment in a cloud comms company."
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." Um, Not really sure what that is. Did a little research. So this is very interesting. And so we actually did the first cloud M&A deal ever. We sold a small cloud comms company to Comcast. That
Huh.
was in 2007, right? 17, almost 18 years ago.
Wow.
And I said to my partners, guys, I'm going to focus on cloud communications. We've done over 250 deals in the space. I think our largest transaction space about 1.2 billion. Kind of on average, we're in that 100 to 250 million enterprise value suite space. And I think that really is the evolution was trying to figure out where this ecosystem is going, right? And
Hmm.
there's a few things, particularly from a financing perspective now. Investors want consistent revenue, so recurring revenue. That's a huge deal. The other thing they
Yeah.
want is free cash flow, right?
Mm,
You think about cloud technology, it's recurring revenue. It's typically on a SaaS model.
yeah.
The capital expenditures, the CapEx that you're spending, if you're not developing your own technology, tends to be much lighter than, for example, a fiber provider who's digging trenches and laying the fiber and doing all that. So it's free cash flowing much quicker. And
Mm,
so for me, I looked at things and our partnership looked at things. God, if we're an investor, this is a really good place to be. And
yeah.
we've morphed with the space. When cloud voice became somewhat commoditized, we started doing more contact center and then more
Mm,
customer experience, which has a very large AI capability right now. Can the AI help you get to the data so you can respond quicker to the customers calling and complaining about, their washing machine or
yeah.
the person whose check bounced and it was a mistake? And the generative AI is becoming a really large focus of contact center and customer experience companies.
Yeah, yeah, and we're starting to see that a lot, especially with the I'll be curious to see what the next, 2, 3 years look like because it's getting the technology is becoming pretty advanced to the point where, even in different retail stores, I could see AI being, a customer service representative just because it's gotten to the point where it can have a full conversation almost without you even being able to tell that it's an AI
It's
bot.
amazing. 2 years ago, when chatbots were really kind of simple, right?
Yeah.
Nobody thought of them as artificial intelligence, and in
Yeah.
fact, more people than not were probably frustrated with the chatbot because it had such limited functionality.
Hmm.
Can I help you? Yeah, you say, sure, I have a problem with X, and that wasn't in their menu, and then you're in purgatory basically. Now, um, contact centers are able to reduce their staff so much because the intelligence can allow less agents to do so much more. And
Yeah.
so that software, instead of just being a focus on better customer service for the end user, is now a
Yeah.
cost savings product as well. And so that's really interesting, right? I mean, and um, if we think that, there's cuts at the federal government going on right now, a lot of the I think, is going to result in cuts in, maybe not cuts in private sector employees, but certainly reorientation to other activities.
Well, it's like, well, why wouldn't you, right? When you think about it from a business owner perspective, right? And you're able to, have these, I mean, as we're finding ways to optimize within our own operations with AI and automation and code and being able to
Right.
save
Right.
on costs. You think about your bottom line, putting these solutions in is only going to increase your bottom line, right? And so I think we're going to definitely see more and more of that. To your point, but I did want to transition just a little bit, Michael, because we
Sure.
do talk a lot about growth on the podcast in terms of business development and building relationships and you know we have a lot of founders and CEOs that tune in across a lot of industries but also within the IT and tech space. I'm curious, like, what were some things for you guys, obviously, when you first started, that really worked well in terms of building your book of business and building your
Sure.
first
We've
client?
been at it 24 years. We've done, I don't know, 25 billion worth of transactions. We've done 700 deals or so in our space. And what we found, it is better to go deep than wide. So we have three main verticals, which is managed IT and managed services, cloud, and digital infrastructure services. And we don't do anything else outside those three things. Now,
Yeah.
they'll have software and services in each of those, but we found that for a boutique, and I think it's whether you're a boutique bank, a boutique consulting firm, a boutique IT firm, vertical focus is really key.
Yeah.
Because if you can solve the problems in a vertical, like I'm a technology company and I focus on healthcare, or I focus on services, or I focus on insurance companies, you learn those industries and you learn what pain they're having and how you can solve that pain. So
Yeah.
we've become subject matter experts. And even when we co-advise with a larger Wall Street bank on a larger deal sometimes, we know more than they do about our space, and it's really apparent. So that was one thing that we decided. And then so that was the strategy. And then the question is, what are the tactics to get that market share?
Yeah.
One, we started a quarterly newsletter for each of those three verticals. And if you go to our website and qllc.com, you'll see there are papers. We just did one on Microsoft Copilot and AI and how it's affecting contact centers. And so
Yeah.
all of our marketing material is geared to those three swim lanes, whether sometimes it's on valuations, sometimes it's on how technology is changing the landscape within that sector. And
Mhm.
so everything we do as a firm is focused on educating investors, founders, CEOs with relevant material that they find useful. Like I give you an example. We did this quarterly, and Patrick Dennis, who happens to be a friend CEO of Avaya, he said, "Man, you nailed it with that analysis in your paper." Right?
Mhm.
I mean, and Patrick's a very straightforward guy. He's not somebody that just throws around compliments because he's trying to be nice.
Yeah.
It he's this is useful, right? So you people are busy. They don't have time to read stuff that's not useful. So
Yeah.
make it user friendly, make it short and to the punch, 2 to 4 pages, no more. Um, and then we do a lot of podcasts like this one, which are
Yeah.
geared towards tech CEOs, founders, and the like. And they're like, wow, I'd love this person to come and chat with me for an hour about what's going on in my industry. What do I
Yeah.
need to do? How do I become successful at attracting capital? What are the things in the market that people focus on? So
Yeah.
it's really very directed to getting things done for our clients.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I love the approach as well, right? We always talk about how important it is to have that educational approach, to have the thought leadership that you guys are creating, but also making sure that the content you are producing is good content, right? Because
Yeah,
nobody
absolutely.
wants to consume. Like, I think almost bad content can hurt your brand just as it's almost better than having no content rather than having bad content, right? In some
Yeah,
cases.
no, and that's why sometimes I think, the marketing and professional services companies like mine, it's difficult for the marketing group to do quality content without the input of the subject matter experts. And we also
Yeah,
attend and give a lot of speeches at conferences because for us, reaching out and touching investors who are really focused on the space, touching the senior management and leadership of companies, from early stage to later stage, we always learn something. It's always a two-way street.
yeah. And so you guys do you talk a lot about like the content and the marketing side and those type of tactics. I'm curious, like how have you guys also use like either ways to build relationships outside of that? Do you guys go to trade shows? Do you find conferences work or
We,
outreach? What's worked for you guys in that
yeah,
sense or
trade
has?
shows are kind of a necessary evil, to be honest. We're on panels. It's good to meet folks. For us, the most effective thing is going to, a major city where we know a lot of investors and introduce and bringing one of our potential clients and having a dinner between five private equity guys, five venture guys, and the CEO. And they all learn about his or her company.
Yeah,
And it gives the CEO a chance to talk in a very intimate setting with people who might be able to provide them capital. And we'll co-host that a lot with,
yeah,
accounting firms, consulting firms, other industry vertical folks. I find that smaller is better
yeah.
um, because people are busy. They don't want a free steak, okay? They want a steak and meeting people who are going to add to their professional development.
Definitely. You know, what advice do you have to give to other founders that are looking to start companies, that are looking to grow their companies? You've been at the game now for quite a while, right? And so you definitely
That's a nice way of saying I'm getting old. So, but look, my dad always
yeah,
had this great saying, and he
yeah.
says, it's not the color of the money, it's whose wallet it comes out of.
Mm,
And, I was lucky enough to to start a company with some great people, and we raised a lot of money, and we had a lot of investors. And I would say some of them were fantastic and supportive, and some of them, they'd ask 10 questions for every dollar that they put into the business, right? And
Yeah.
it wasn't very helpful. So I think sometimes founders are quick to take the best valuation, and they don't
Mm.
think about what is it going to be like working with this particular firm.
Yeah.
And the question I always tell our folks to ask is, can you talk to people who went bankrupt working with this company, this private equity fund, this venture fund? They're like, why would I want to do that? I said, because when the shit hits the fan, that's when you know whether someone has your back or not. And so
Yeah.
that is really important. And the culture is important. It sometimes people are so focused on, I don't want to get diluted and I want a structure of X, Y, and Z. And that's all very important, but
Yeah.
the fit is just as important.
Yeah, man, that's such a great point. I never thought about it from that perspective because, I've always like whenever I think about, partnerships or you like, partnering with another person, bringing them into your business, that those values have to be aligned. Like the way that you guys think, the way that, like you said, when shit hits the fan, are you guys aligned to that? That's when you really start to
Yes.
see people's true colors.
Yeah.
But it's so true. I never thought about it from the perspective of also from the people that you're taking money from, right? And like the different groups that you're going to be working with, you want to make sure that they embody the same characteristics that you do as a company. I think that's in some
Well, it's like,
cases probably better, more important than the
yeah,
money that they give you and the
yeah.
valuation.
When I hire folks, I don't interview that much anymore, but when I was very active interviewing, I let my younger partners run the firm now. But like my first question was, what's your five favorite movies?
Mm,
Why? Because our firm has a certain ethos, it has a certain culture. We tend
yeah.
not to take ourselves that seriously, which is always nice for an investment bank. And, if it's a good way to gauge somebody about what movies they like. And and it also throws folks for a loop a little bit, or it did. Um,
Yeah. I'd be
so
curious to see some of those answers. That's for sure. I'd be
some of them
curious.
were some of them were pretty funny. Some of them
Yeah.
were fun.
What do you enjoy most about what you do, Michael? Because it sounds like you're obviously very passionate about a lot of things here, but I'm curious, like
Well,
what
I
brings you
mean,
most
look,
fulfillment?
there's nothing better on pairing a great investment firm with a great management team. Okay.
Mm,
And for me, the proof's in the pudding. When they have a great relationship and then they use us again to sell again. So we're closing actually on Wednesday, the largest cloud comms deal ever in Germany. And
wow.
we put together a firm, Maxberg, great folks out of Munich, with our client Starface and that management team. And the company did great under the 5 years of stewardship by Maxberg. And now when they went to sell again, they talked to other banks, but they picked us. And now we're selling them at a great multiple to Gamma, a large listed UK firm. And for me, when you think about the founders of that company, they had heard from me about two bites at the apple, and they're getting their two bites at the apple. And everybody's still talking to each other, and everybody still likes each other. And
Mm,
that's a great feeling. When clients come back, it means they enjoyed working with you. And
yeah.
that's our ethos at Q is, we get things done the right way, and we have fun doing it. So to me, that's why I left the law. I enjoyed the law. I thought it was fascinating intellectually, but it was a point where I wasn't having fun anymore, so I had to do something else. And
Yeah.
I think my advice to people is if you're not having fun, go do something else. Life's too short.
I think that's a perfect note to end on, Michael.
Well,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure getting the chance to share a little bit more about your story, what you guys are building at Q Advisors. I love the love the mission, love the ethos of what you guys stand for. If people are listening to this and they want to reach out to you or someone from your team, what are the best ways to go ahead and contact you guys?
Yeah, our website is qllc.com, and my email is Quinn, like my last name, Quinn at qllc.com. But yeah, we'd love to chat. And Alessandro, thank you for having us on.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I will be including the links in the description for people to go check out. If you did make it all the way to the end, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content and go check out Michael and the team. Thanks again, guys. Have a great rest of your day.